There's been a whole lot of chat all over social media about XRX Incorporated and the yarn show that they produce, Stitches, which is held all over the US and has been for a number of years now. On Monday, they put a statement up on their website which states, "After 32 years of doing events and 40 plus years in business, we find ourselves at the end. We are saddened that what we've built can no longer survive in the present economic climate. As of today, XRX Incorporated no longer exists. We want to thank you for the friendship and support that so many of you have given us. It's been a wonderful ride, but all good things." The company is officially in the process of being dissolved. Per our bankruptcy lawyer's instructions, all our accounts have been closed and all our future Stitches events and projects have been cancelled. For those to whom we owe money or who have credit with us, you will be contacted in the near future via mail by our lawyer. We will be liquidating all business assets to go into a trust account that will then be used to pay back creditors as is possible. Please don't contact us directly. Per our lawyer's advice, all communications will go directly through him. We're sorry we couldn't make it work. Please believe us when we tell you we tried. We wish you success and happiness in all your future endeavours. Thank you, XRX Incorporated Management. Vendors and workshop tutors are understandably very upset with them being out hundreds, if not out thousands of dollars. So how did we get here? Hey everyone, it's Hannah and today I'm going to be talking about Stitches and XRX Incorporated and just kind of what's been happening. There's so much information across so many different websites. I've linked various resources that I've used in the description box below if you're interested in checking it out yourself. Everything that I say in this video is alleged because these are just people's first-hand experiences and, you know, nothing, I can't confirm that any of these things is fact, obviously. If you don't know who I am, hello. I am a UK-based yarn dyer. I own the Corner of Craft and Chromatic Yarns. I've taken part in various yarn shows. While I've never vended at a Stitches show, I've never been to the US. I do understand the economic impact that a cancelled show has on a small business, and yeah, it's all a bit dodgy, so I just wanted to talk about it today if you don't mind. Links to various social media and information that you might need is in the description box below, and if you find yourself enjoying this video and you aren't already, it would be lovely if you were to subscribe. So let's start at the very beginning, for it is a very good place to start. Over 40 years ago, XRX Incorporated was founded by brothers David Xenakis and David Alexis Xenakis along with Elaine Rowley. Now Elaine owned a yarn shop in Sioux Falls, South Dakota called the Golden Fleece. Alexis Xenakis was a weaver. He became world renowned for his technique on the Ridgel Heddle loom and even like started his own technique. I don't weave, so I don't really know, but he became world renowned in this. It's amazing. XRX Incorporated now is run by Elaine Rowley and David Xenakis' son, Benjamin Levisay. That's by the by, but I just wanted to put that in now. Rowley's yarn shop, the Golden Fleece, became like the main hub, the spot, if you will, for weaving workshops. And they brought in teachers from all over the world, and people came in from all over to learn from these experts. After a while, XRX decided to close the retail space, choosing to focus their time more on knitting magazines and the knitting books that they were publishing. Fast forward to 1991, the first Stitches show takes place in New Jersey. Now, yarn shows were quite a novel idea at the time. There weren't many of them around, and there was quite a bit of backlash from the local businesses with them believing that the yarn show was going to be taking customers away from the local businesses. Fortunately, yarn show stuck around and grew over time. Stitches became huge. I would say that they're probably one of the most popular yarn shows in the US. I could be wrong on that. Please feel free to politely correct me if I am wrong, but I'd heard of it, so... Over the next 30 years, Stitches started hosting all sorts of events all across the US, and they were just popping up everywhere. Now we're at 2017. Levisay is CEO. He's stepped in at some point along the line. The final knitting magazine is printed, and the in-print books were slowly being faded out as they just weren't making money anymore. So they decided, instead of focusing their attention on the side of the business that wasn't doing so well, that they would put their resources, time, energy, money essentially into expanding Stitches. Even more locations were added, along with a new event called Stitches United, which saw quilters, embroiderers, cross stitchers, sewers, all sorts coming into the fibre arts community, making it a big happy family. Lovely. Then 2020 came along and 2021. Now we all know what happened in 2020 and 2021, don't we? Some of us may have blocked it out. But yeah, so many events were cancelled. So many. Big events companies, businesses, organisers really suffered financially because of it. I know personally I had 5 yarn shows booked in 2020. In hindsight, it's probably a good job that I didn't do all of the yarn shows because I did 3 last year and that was intense enough, but 5 yarn shows all cancelled. Very intense. These events had to pivot if they wanted to make money essentially and not lose heaps of money. This is when Stitches at Home came around. This was a space where people could take part in workshops in the comfort of their own home, learning from various experts, once again from all over the world. The internet, it's an amazing thing. This event was so popular that when in-person events started back up for Stitches, they decided to keep Stitches at Home going. From the outside, everything looked like it was going swimmingly. XRX Incorporated was selling booth slots for Stitches and booking workshop tutors for events later in 2023, even early 2024. Levisay even posted in April that the Fibre Hooligans podcast was going to be revived. This was a podcast that he was the host of. However, everything wasn't fine. Now I've caught you up with somewhat up to date on the whole matter. As I mentioned in the beginning and read out the statement, that was put up on Monday, the 15th of May. All of their social media accounts have gone. They've just been wiped. As is Benjamin Levisay, it's almost like he's not existed, almost. From what I have seen across social media, no workshop tutors and no vendors were told about this announcement at all before it was made. They were not contacted in any way. They found out like the rest of us. In fact, emails were allegedly sent out in late April asking people to book a second booth if they wanted it in the August event. Late April. As I mentioned in the beginning, vendors, workshop tutors are going to be out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. As a side note, if you haven't already, please start a chargeback for your booth fees. Fingers crossed you can get them back. Fingers crossed. And yeah, they've said that you can't contact Stitches directly, to only contact through the lawyer. But as from what I have seen, no lawyer's information has been given out. So it's actually quite difficult to contact. Because, yeah, so people are just up in the air. No one knows what's going to happen with their business. So, for a 10 foot by 10 foot booth, which is 3 meters by 3 meters, it costs anywhere between $800 to $1,500. This doesn't include electrical, tables, chairs, anything like that. I've also been told that Wi-Fi isn't always included in that. And so sometimes you have to pay extra for Wi-Fi, which Wi-Fi I feel like is a necessity. It's a necessity to take card payments. Apparently this is somewhat normal fee for yarn shows in the US. Once again, please politely correct me if I am wrong, but that seems outrageous and very inaccessible to newer businesses and old businesses, in all fairness. I'm going to be expecting to take a lot of money if I'm spending that much money on a booth. For context, the East Anglia Yarn Festival, for a double booth, which was 5 meters by 2 meters, I believe it was around just under £400-ish. I think it was maybe £400 including tables. I can't 100% remember, but it was around £400 for a 5 meter by 2 meter double booth. So a 3 meter by 3 meter spot is actually quite sizable. It's bigger than you think it is. And so, yeah, you need a lot of stock to fill that so it doesn't look empty, because shoppers don't like to go into a booth when it looks empty. Which is why I like a long, shallow booth, because you don't need as much. But yeah, you need a lot of stock, and stock isn't cheap. You're going to be spending thousands buying undyed yarn and dye and citric acid and spending it on water, electricity, goodness knows what, or fabric, making bags, or whatever it is that you do. It's a lot of stock, and that's now just going to be sat in people's home, hoping, fingers crossed, that people buy it. Attendees of Stitches recently have reported that footfall has been down, and fewer Stitches events have been put on in the last couple of years. I'm guessing lower footfall has something to do with it. There's vendors and workshop tutors' personal anecdotes all over the internet, on Reddit, on r/craftsnark. It's great. I love Craftsnark. There's also Demon Trolls, which is a group on Ravelry. Very useful. They also have great information about dyers on there and things to look out for if people are maybe doing shady business practices. And also there's groups on Facebook as well offering support for vendors. Now, these anecdotes, it's impossible for me to determine right now which ones are true and which ones are not. So therefore, everything I'm saying, once again, is alleged. I don't want to get into trouble. It has been stated that allegedly workshop tutors have not been paid for April and May workshops that have been happening at Stitches events. Someone taught at an event in this past weekend on the Sunday, the day before the announcement was made. They taught at a Stitches at Home event. The organisers must have known at that point they would not be able to pay this person, and yet didn't call it off. Didn't do anything. So this poor person has just done work for no pay. Outrageous. I've also seen on social media that apparently workshop tickets were still being sold the day that the announcement was made. The day the statement was put up, workshop places were still being sold. That's outrageous. That's outrageous. There's been a couple of other slightly shady business practices, which are probably entirely legal, but kind of give me the ick. That's what the kids are saying now, isn't it? Allegedly, vendors were approached at the SoCal event and told that if they wanted to buy a booth for the next year with X dollars off, I don't know what the exact amount is, with X dollars off, that they could, but they only if they bought it there and then. As soon as the organisers left the booth, the offer was off the table and you'd have to pay that extra fee. And when booths are expensive, as they are, I feel like you shouldn't have to put pressure on people like that. You're going to be taken away from their profits of a yarn show. And it kind of indicates to me, a non-expert, it indicates to me maybe the business is kind of struggling for money a little bit and they're desperately trying to maybe back pay some people that they've not quite paid. Once again, not an expert. I don't know if that's true. It's just what I am perceiving from the outside. A Ravelry user shared on the Demon Trolls forum that they'd intended to attend the Minneapolis event, which was due to be held in August, but they'd called up the hotel and to cancel their reservation because they don't need the room anymore. The hotel had no idea that this event had been cancelled. There just seems to be a huge lapse in communication between Stitches, the vendors and workshop tutors, and now even the venues. Absolutely ridiculous, so unethical, so disrespectful. Ugh, I hate it. I'm not an accountant. I've never declared bankruptcy. Touch wood. Where is some wood? Stop blocker. Touch wood, I never have to. I don't know how these proceedings happen. I don't know what goes on. Maybe this is somewhat normal, that, you know, business as usual, pretend everything's fine. In fact, I did see on Ravelry that an accountant who does specialise in this did share that, yes, it is perfectly normal that business as usual, because if they manage to get themselves out of bankruptcy, which some people do, very last minute they manage to get out of it, you don't want the public to know, because that could ruin your business's reputation and make it more difficult to recover financially. Also, you want to continue business as usual so it doesn't look like you're trying to get as many debts as possible and potentially have more and more debts that would just be wiped off. You don't want to add unnecessary debt because that you could lose your bankruptcy protection or something. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care if it's normal business practice or whatever. I think it's disgusting. This is going to ruin some small businesses. As I've said many times, they're going to be out up to thousands of dollars, a few thousand of dollars, and people rely on these events for income. People don't have as much of an online presence. Therefore, they're now going to be sat on all of this stock that potentially they're going to have such trouble shifting. And I truly think that we're going to potentially see some business close because of this. If you were meant to be vending at a Stitches event and have been impacted by these cancellations, please leave your business details in the comments below. Sometimes YouTube blocks websites, but I'll try to make sure that I approve any comments that I notice. But if it doesn't come up straight away, that's because YouTube sometimes blocks websites. So maybe just add your details, your name, whatever. I'll also share an Instagram post that I've seen floating around, which has been tagging vendors who have been affected by the cancellations. And I'm sure there's many, many more. Please go and support these vendors. Please, if you can, obviously, shop with them, share their posts, give them encouragement. It's going to be such a difficult time. I'm really, really hoping that people manage to get their stall fees back. I've seen that some people still had credit left over from the 2020-2021 shows that had been cancelled, and that they'd just kind of been like, oh no, it's fine, you keep the money and then we'll put it towards the next show that we've ended at. I know some people are now lost that money because there's no way you'd be able to get a charge back for that 3 years later. Outrageous. So yes, if you can, please support these small businesses. It must be horrendous for them, and it makes me really angry. It makes me really angry. Oh, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please correct me if I've got anything wrong. I'm not an expert. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist. I'm a person with a camera who dyes yarn for a living. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert at researching things either, but I tried my best. If you like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and share it if you think people might be interested in it. It's all helpful. And yeah, please feel free to follow me on social media. Links can all be found in the description box below, along with various resources that I have used and websites and the like. I will also include the Ravelry link down below, which I know isn't an accessible website for everyone, so please just be cautious if you click on that link and you have issues with Ravelry. And yes, it would be lovely if you were to subscribe, but that is entirely your choice. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will see you very soon for the next video. Bye.